Broadcasting from the Symphony Studios in Marietta, Georgia, it's time for the High Tech Women Podcast, brought to you by Symphony Technology Solutions. Listen in as we speak with and learn from inspiring women who have stepped up and stepped into careers in technology and construction. Now, here are your hosts.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of the High Tech Women Podcast. I am your host today, Katie Galley, and please join me in welcoming back to the Symphony studio with us, the VP of Aviation with Dunn Construction, Iana Stuart. How you doing, Iana?
Hey, good morning. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thanks for coming back. Of course, we had the chance to speak with you on our Technology Harmony podcast, and now we get to dive in a little deeper with our High Tech Women podcast, get into your journey specifically. So thank you, Iana, for taking time again to stop by the studio.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here.
Awesome. So, Iana, can you walk us through your professional journey a little bit to date, and then specifically how you found yourself in the aviation industry?
Sure. So, been with Dunn my entire professional career. So, started off as a project engineer out in the field. Was lucky I got hired because I had zero construction experience prior to that. So, I was very green. I definitely felt like I had no idea what I was doing when I was out in the field, but I wasn't afraid to ask dumb questions, and I definitely asked some pretty dumb questions. But while I was out there, I wanted to learn as much as I could. It was my job to help process RFIs and different things. And, I think our trade partners that were in the field, they definitely saw that, okay, they could bring me questions, and I would work really hard to get them answers quickly. So, even though I was very green, I think they still saw me as a good resource. So I was just trying to soak as much in as I could. From there, I kind of just worked my way up the operational ranks with that same mindset of give me as much as you can. I just want to learn, and just really help our teams be successful, help our, deliver a good experience for our clients. And, my company, I think had a lot of trust in my ability to do that and continue to give me good opportunities. And I just worked hard for them too. So I'm trying to be a little brief if you want me to go in deeper, but about 7-8 years ago, gosh, might be even more than, our company really wanted to look into pursuing work at the Atlanta airport. We had never done work there before, but we knew some of our competitors had and been there for a long time. So they thought that was maybe a good, potential business for us. So they just asked me to kind of start digging into it. I was a project manager at the time. And really for the first few years, it was head down. Let's just figure out how to execute this work well, build a good reputation, which we did. And then some of our other offices around the country started pursuing aviation work just because it's a great way to be diversified. And over the last few years, really we saw the opportunity to truly make this a vertical market, where we really pursue aviation on a national scale, but with a core leadership team that really understands what it takes to be successful and partner with our local offices. So that's really what I've been focused on doing, is really help grow this market the right way and partner with our local office teams and really figure out how to deliver the best experience to our clients.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's pretty clear, Iana, from your journey that you're, like you said, you were, 1, not afraid to ask questions, but 2, not afraid of those kind of transitional pieces of putting in that grindy, gritty work in order to make progress and, grow up through the ranks. And so being willing to kind of put yourself out there. So, getting into an industry you didn't know much about initially, and then growing into aviation, into another industry you had to learn about. Where does that kind of grind and grit and just desire to keep working hard and putting in those hours come from?
So, I grew up on a farm in Colorado with a single mom. So there was a lot of, you just had to work really hard to keep the farm going and contribute. And, I think that's always carried I've always carried that through, high school, college, and my job currently. But, a good point in what I'm sharing is, I think a big part of just being successful, everybody has to put in hard work to do that, but it's also being open to new opportunities. I think a lot of us, especially when we're younger, you start working, you think, okay, this is where I want to go. Like I think I want to, let's say, like be an office leader or be whatever, but you've got to be nimble and flexible to the opportunities that come up, because that new opportunities present themselves. And if you take it and put, really are all in on it, then that might blossom into a whole nother opportunity you didn't even know existed. And it was the right thing to do. So I think it's really important, to be willing to say yes, to take on things that, might not have been in your, initial career path plan.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's such a good point, putting yourself out there and being willing to, one, go up against those doors of opportunity, but then either kick them down or walk through them, whatever, that next step is. And so then, Iana, for you, when those opportunities came up throughout your journey, I mean, to date and even now, was there ever a level of fear where maybe you were afraid to walk through those doors? And can you kind of walk us through what that was like for you and how you overcame those feelings in order to keep pursuing what you wanted to achieve?
Absolutely. I mean, I still have, levels of discomfort or concern right now. I mean, aviation's a super tough market. We're trying to, recruit and grow this with a lot of uncertainty. So any position I've, advanced to has been uncomfortable because it's, it's taking on new responsibilities, and I think that's normal for everybody as you grow and, you kind of get into that next role, you've got to gain experiences in that role to get confident in that role. So, everybody, you've heard that term, you fake it till you make it, which, I agree with that to a point, but I've also always been somebody that struggled a little bit with confidence until I really felt like I knew it. So I think just giving yourself some grace that it's normal to feel this way, but just keep grinding it out and get the experiences and you'll, be more confident in your role.
Yeah.
As a good way to do it. And then also, don't be afraid to ask for help and reach out to mentors or peers to figure out, where you think they're excelling well so you can learn from them and speed up the learning curve. You don't have to, learn everything by, trial and error. There's people around you who are doing something successfully. Ask those questions and learn from them.
Absolutely. So aligning yourself with the right people along the way and being, like you said, being willing to put yourself out there, ask those questions. And two, I think it was a TED Talk done by, I think she's a Harvard professor, Amy Cuddy, and you said, fake it till you make it. And she made the phrase, fake it until you become it. And so, like you said, I mean, you're never going to I think you're always going to struggle with confidence, even after you, quote, become it or overcome those fears. It's still, there because you're never going to stop pushing yourself. So it's faking it rather until you, quote, make it. You're never going to arrive. So you have to become it, owning into those fears and uncertainties.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So Iana, through that, and I mean, taking those pieces of advice, maybe from mentors and aligning yourself with the right people along the way. Is there someone in your journey to date that has really stood out to you as a mentor or a piece of advice that they have offered you that's really helped kind of set you on this trajectory?
I've had a lot of great bosses, mentors along the way. And, based on where I was at, those point in times in my life, there were definitely things that stood out. So it's hard to say if there was any one certain thing, but I think the biggest thing is just piece of advice is just believing in yourself and, trusting your gut. I mean, I was relatively young being put in this role, obviously a female in the industry, having to talk to other offices and office leaders around the country, not being totally sure in this role, there was a lot of insecurities around that. And, to having a mentor say, look, you're in this role for a reason. So trust that, like a lot of this insecurity is in your head. Like, I don't understand, like, just get over it. it resonated. It was just, trusting, like, you're right. I am in this role for a reason,
Yeah.
There's a lot of responsibility that's been put on my plate. So get that noise out of my head and just move forward and work on developing strong relationships. And we all have, the same end goals to be successful on projects. So that was helpful, but I think that takes experience though and growth to, trust that yourself.
Right. It's a
it
little
also
bit
helps having somebody tell you that too.
Right. I can imagine that, and having that little bit of tough love, just stop it and let's move forward. But then, like you said, it really takes, it's someone being there, being your advocate and encouraging you along the way, sometimes in a tough way, but truly it comes from you experiencing it yourself. And there's kind of no replacement for that, I guess.
There isn't.
Yeah. And so, Iana, now if someone like a younger person, a young woman, young man, were entering into the aviation industry or any specific piece of your journey that you've taken to date, what piece of advice might you offer them? Would it be the same piece of advice you received from mentors along your way, or would it be something else kind of that you've crafted over your years of experience?
There's a lot there to unpack. Big part is, saying yes to the opportunities. Growth comes from a lot of discomfort and not knowing exactly what to do. There is that piece that you just have to get out there and try new things and get out of your comfort zone. You're going to grow from that. For example, we relocated senior PM, great leader, to Charlotte, and he's having to, call on clients he's never, met before during COVID, and it's tough and, super uncomfortable. And, it's like, but that's okay. That, experience is going to help you grow and be a better leader down the road. So I think leaning into that and just staying consistent and persistent with it, you'll come out, with new skills on the other side of it and a better leader because of it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so I guess it's maybe if you're in a state of comfortability, it's not the right place to be. If you want to grow, if you want to make progress, you're almost always going to feel some kind of uncomfortable.
Yes. And like I said before, I'm uncomfortable now. We're trying to grow this national market, and we're recruiting, trying to recruit people into a really tough market right now. And, it's how do we grow it? There's so many questions out there, but that's growth. And you need to go through those to be able to create something good.
Absolutely. Love that. Well, Iana, if someone wanted to learn more about you, your specific journey, or learn more about J.E. Dunn, where might they do that?
So a great way to learn about J.E. Dunn is going to our website is a good starting point. That's jedunn.com. I can be reached out on LinkedIn, or my emails Iana, IANA TASSADA@jedunn.com. So you can always send me an email as well.
Thank you all for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this episode. To learn more about Symphony, you can follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube at Symphony Technology Solutions, and on Instagram at Symphony Tech Solutions. Never forget that wherever your pursuits take you, cling to the truth that you were absolutely made for a time such as this. See you on our next episode.